The spit hit Harper's cheek before she could turn away. Warm. Deliberate. Veronica Ashford's perfectly manicured hand swung next, her designer bag connecting with Riley's golden head. The dog yelped, stumbled. Harper dropped to her knees, throwing her body over her service dog as the second blow came. "Filthy animal," Veronica hissed. "Ruining my dress with your disgusting presence." Senator Graham Ashford laughed, his phone camera recording. "Should have stayed in whatever gutter you crawled from, girl." The crowd of donors stood frozen. What they didn't see: two men in running gear stopping mid-stride, their eyes going cold and tactical. Before we continue, please subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us share stories that expose the truth and give voice to the voiceless. And leave a comment telling us what city you're watching from so we can see how far this message of justice and courage travels. Now, let's go back to the moment everything changed.
Riley whimpered beneath Harper's arms, his whole body trembling. She could feel his rapid heartbeat against her chest, could feel the way his legs had gone rigid with terror. Not from the pain, but from something deeper. Something old. "I'm sorry," Harper whispered into his soft fur, not to the Ashfords, but to her dog. "I'm so sorry, boy." "Did you hear that?" Veronica's voice rang across the park pavilion. "She's apologizing to a dog instead of to me. To me. Do you have any idea who I am?" Harper knew exactly who Veronica Ashford was. Everyone in the foster system knew. The beautiful philanthropist who ran the Youth Hope Foundation, who smiled in magazine photos with disadvantaged children, who gave speeches about second chances and redemption. Harper knew other things, too. Things that made her stomach turn. Things she'd been documenting for 3 months. "I asked you a question." Veronica's heel clicked closer. "Look at me when I'm speaking to you." Harper lifted her head, tasted blood from where she'd bitten her lip. Her knees ached where they'd hit the concrete, her arthritis flaring hot and sharp. Riley pressed against her, his service dog vest twisted from the impact. "I'm looking," Harper said quietly. "Then answer me. Who am I?" "You're Veronica Ashford. You run the Youth Hope Foundation. You help foster kids like me." Each word tasted like ash. Veronica smiled, triumphant. "Exactly. I help people like you. And this is how you repay that generosity? By letting your animal assault me?" "Riley didn't assault anyone. He brushed against your dress because I stumbled. He's a service dog. He was doing his job." "Service dog?" Senator Ashford stepped forward, his expensive cologne overwhelming. "For what disability? You look perfectly fine to me." Harper's hands curled into fists. This was the game. Make her prove her pain, justify her existence, defend her right to assistance. "I have juvenile arthritis. Riley helps me with mobility and excuses." The senator cut her off. "In my day, we didn't need emotional support animals and participation trophies. We learned resilience." "He's not an emotional support animal. He's certified for medical. I don't care what paperwork you forged." Veronica's voice sharpened. "That dog assaulted me in front of 300 donors, and you're going to pay for it." The crowd had grown larger now. Phones were out, recording. Harper recognized some faces from the foundation's promotional materials, wealthy donors who funded Veronica's charity work, who believed in her mission, who had no idea what really happened behind closed doors. "Pay how?" Harper asked, her voice steadier than she felt. "Monetarily, obviously. This dress costs $12,000. Your animal damaged it." Harper looked at the dress. There wasn't a mark on it, not a thread out of place. "There's no damage." "Are you calling me a liar?" Veronica leaned in, her breath hot against Harper's face. "You little—" "That's enough!" The voice came from behind the crowd. Male. Controlled. Carrying authority that had nothing to do with money or status. The crowd parted. Two men walked through, both in running gear, both moving with a precision that made Harper think of coiled springs. The first was maybe mid-30s, dark hair, gray eyes that scanned the scene with tactical assessment. The second was a woman, early 30s, muscular, her expression carved from stone. Beside her walked the most magnificent dog Harper had ever seen, a Belgian Malinois, his dark eyes intelligent and alert, his body language reading the threat level of every person in the vicinity. "This is a private matter," Senator Ashford said, his voice dropping into that practiced tone of masculine authority. "Move along." "No." The man stopped 3 feet from Harper, his body angling between her and the Ashfords. "I don't think I will." "Do you know who I am?" "Lieutenant Commander Ethan Cross, Navy SEALs. And yes, Senator, I know exactly who you are." Ethan's voice stayed level, almost bored. "I also know what I just witnessed constitutes assault and animal abuse, both of which are crimes regardless of your political office." Veronica laughed, the sound brittle. "Assault? I barely touched her." "You struck a minor and her service dog. I watched you do it. So did Chief Petty Officer Rodriguez here." He nodded to the woman beside him. "So did approximately 50 people with camera phones. Would you like to continue this conversation, or would you like to walk away before this becomes tomorrow's headline?" The senator's face flushed red. "Are you threatening me?" "I'm giving you tactical advice. Take it or don't." Harper watched the calculation happening behind the senator's eyes, watched him weigh his options, create a scene that would dominate social media, or retreat with dignity intact. "Veronica," he said quietly, "we're leaving." "But she—" "Now." Veronica's expression twisted with rage, but she turned, her designer heels clicking against the concrete as she stormed toward the pavilion entrance. The senator followed, but not before leaning close to Harper, his voice dropping to a whisper only she could hear. "This isn't over, girl. You have no idea what you've started." Then they were gone, the crowd dispersing, the moment dissolving into nervous chatter and excited speculation. Harper sat on the ground, Riley still pressed against her, her whole body shaking with adrenaline crash. "Hey!" The woman, Chief Petty Officer Rodriguez, crouched beside her, her movements careful and non-threatening. "You hurt?" "No. I mean, yes, but not from her. My arthritis just—" Harper's throat closed. She couldn't finish. "You don't have to explain." Rodriguez's voice gentled. "I'm Maya. This is Titan." She gestured to the Malinois, who had moved closer, his attention fixed on Riley with an intensity that seemed almost like recognition. "Harper," she managed. "And this is Riley." Ethan Cross knelt on her other side. "Harper, I need to ask you something, and I need you to answer honestly. Was that the first time they've hurt you?" The question landed like a stone in still water, ripples spreading, disturbing everything beneath the surface. "I don't know what you mean." "Yes, you do." His gray eyes held hers, not unkind, but unrelenting. Riley's fear response wasn't about the hit. It was about them specifically. He knew them, and he's terrified of them. Harper looked down at her dog. Riley was watching the pavilion entrance where the Ashfords had disappeared, his body rigid, his breathing rapid. "Please don't lie to us," Maya said softly. "We've both seen enough trauma to recognize it." Harper's eyes burned. She'd spent 3 months being careful, being quiet, gathering evidence, staying invisible. And now these strangers were seeing through her in seconds.
"They run the Youth Hope Foundation," she whispered. "I volunteer there. I've been placed in their program since I turned 15. It's supposed to help foster kids transition to independence."
"And does it?" Ethan asked. Harper's laugh came out broken.
"It helps them disappear."
The words hung in the air. Maya and Ethan exchanged a look, some kind of silent communication that spoke of partnership and trust.
"How many?"
Maya asked.
"How many what?" "How many kids have disappeared?"
Harper's hands trembled.
"I don't know. Maybe 12. Maybe more. They're listed as runaways or aged out of the system, but—"
She stopped, fear clawing at her throat. "But you don't believe that," Ethan finished.
"Riley belonged to one of them, to Sarah. She was 17, about to age out, working at the foundation. Then one day she was just gone."
"They said she ran away to California, but she left Riley behind."
"She would never have left him behind."
Titan moved closer to Riley, lowering himself to the ground in a deliberate gesture. The golden retriever's trembling eased slightly, his body language shifting from panic to cautious trust.
"Titan recognizes him,"
Maya said, her voice tight.
"They've met before. That's impossible. I've only had Riley for 6 months, since Sarah disappeared."
"Where was Riley trained?" Ethan's question was sharp now, focused.
"I don't know. The foundation said he was a rescue, already certified as a service dog. They placed him with me after Sarah left because of my arthritis."
Maya's expression darkened.
"Ethan, remember that case from 2 years ago? The service dog training facility that got shut down?"
"The one outside Richmond? The organization that Senator Ashford's committee investigated for fraud?"
"And subsequently dismantled."
Maya's jaw clenched. What if they weren't fraudulent? What if that was a cover? Harper's mind raced. "What are you saying?" Ethan pulled out his phone, started typing. "I'm saying that sometimes investigations aren't about finding truth. They're about burying it. Who owned that training facility?"
"I can check."
Maya was already on her phone.
"Contacts at Naval Criminal Investigative Service might have records."
Harper watched them work, these two strangers who had appeared out of nowhere, who believed her without question, who saw patterns she'd been too afraid to name.
"Why are you helping me?"
The question escaped before she could stop it. Ethan looked up from his phone. "Because someone should have helped those other kids, and no one did. Because that senator just threatened a 16-year-old girl in front of witnesses and walked away thinking he'd won. And because I didn't spend 15 years defending this country so powerful people could abuse the most vulnerable."
"Plus," Maya added, "Titan's telling me something's very wrong here. Military working dogs don't lie. If he says Riley's been through trauma, Riley's been through trauma. And if that trauma connects to the Ashfords, then we have a problem that needs solving."
Harper's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Stay quiet about today, or your placement at the foundation ends. So does Riley's certification. Choose wisely." She showed them the screen, her hands shaking. "Screenshot that," Ethan said immediately. "Send it to yourself at multiple email addresses. That's witness intimidation. That's a crime."
"They'll just say I made it up."
"They can say whatever they want. We're documenting everything from this point forward." Maya stood, offered Harper a hand.
"Can you walk?"
Harper nodded, let Maya pull her up. Her knees protested, her joints grinding, but she stayed upright. Riley pressed against her leg, providing support and comfort in equal measure. "Where do you live?" Ethan asked.
"Foster placement in Riverside. The Kowalskis. They're good people, but they don't know about—"
She gestured vaguely at everything.
"any of this." Do they know about the foundation? Everyone knows about the foundation. It's prestigious. Getting placed in their program is supposed to be an honor. Maya's expression was grim. Honor. Right. Harper, I need you to trust me for a second. Can you do that? Harper nodded, though trust felt like a foreign language. I'm going to take Riley for a walk, just around the park. Watch his body language with me versus with you, okay? Why? Because I need to confirm something. Maya took Riley's leash, and the difference was immediate. Riley walked calmly beside her, his gait easy, his attention focused but not fearful. A well-trained service dog doing his job. He's fine with her, Harper said. Now watch. Ethan pulled up a photo on his phone. Senator Ashford at a press conference. He showed it to Riley. The dog's reaction was instant and visceral. His hackles raised, his body went rigid, a low whine building in his throat. That's not normal, Ethan said quietly. That's a threat response to a specific person. Riley's been hurt by the senator before, badly enough that just seeing his face triggers trauma. Harper felt sick. Sarah used to take Riley to foundation events. She'd send me pictures. The senator would pose with him for publicity shots. How long before Sarah disappeared did that stop? Harper thought back, pulling up old text messages in her memory. Maybe 2 weeks? Ethan and Maya exchanged another loaded look. Harper, Ethan said carefully, would you be willing to talk to someone about this? Officially? Like who? Naval Criminal Investigative Service has jurisdiction over certain cases involving military resources. If that training facility was used for federal programs, which most service dog organizations are, then NCIS can investigate. And if they can't? Fear made her voice small. Then we find someone who can. FBI, State Attorney General. We keep pushing until someone listens. Maya returned with Riley, her expression set. Because here's what I know for sure. Powerful people get away with terrible things when everyone's too afraid to fight back. But you're not alone anymore. You've got us. And we don't quit. Riley pressed against Harper's legs, and for the first time in months, she felt something shift. Not safety, not yet. But possibility. The terrifying, fragile possibility that maybe this time someone would actually help. Okay, she whispered. I'll talk. I'll tell you everything. Not here, Ethan said, scanning the park. Somewhere secure. Can you meet us tomorrow? I have school until 3. After school, then. There's a coffee shop called Riverside Brew. Do you know it? Harper nodded. 4 o'clock. Bring everything you have. Documents, photos, names, dates. Anything that might help. I have files, Harper admitted. I've been documenting everything for 3 months. I just didn't know who to give them to. Maya smiled, fierce and protective. Now you do. They walked Harper to her bus stop, waited with her until it arrived, watched her board with Riley at her side. As the bus pulled away, Harper looked back through the window. Ethan and Maya stood on the sidewalk, Titan between them, all three watching until she was out of sight. For the first time since Sarah disappeared, Harper Chen allowed herself to believe that maybe the powerful didn't always win. Maybe sometimes courage was contagious, and maybe this time the truth would be enough. That night, Harper couldn't sleep. She lay in her narrow bed in the Kowalskis' spare room, Riley pressed against her legs, and stared at her phone. The threatening text glowed in the darkness. Stay quiet about today, or your placement at the foundation ends. So does Riley's certification. At 2:17 a.m., another message arrived, different number. We know where you live, Harper. We know everything about you, every placement, every school, every person you've ever cared about. Think carefully about tomorrow." Her hands shook as she screenshotted it, sent it to the 3 email addresses she'd created specifically for this, the evidence she'd been gathering in secret for 3 months. At 2:34 a.m., her bedroom door opened. Mrs. Kowalski stood silhouetted in the hallway light, her gray hair loose around her shoulders. "Can't sleep either?" she asked softly. Harper shook her head. Mrs. Kowalski sat on the edge of the bed, her weight making the mattress dip. "You want to tell me what happened at the park today? The real story, not the sanitized version you gave us at dinner. How did you—" "Harper, honey, I've fostered 43 children over 30 years. I know when one of my kids is lying to protect themselves." She reached over, turned on the bedside lamp. "And I know when they're afraid." Harper's throat closed. The Kowalskis were good people. They didn't deserve to be pulled into this. "It's nothing. Just some people from the foundation being—" "The Ashfords hit you. And your dog. I saw the video. Everyone saw the video. It's all over social media." Mrs. Kowalski's voice hardened. "That woman struck a child in front of 300 witnesses, and the only reason she's not in jail is because her husband's a senator." Harper stared at her.
"Says you deliberately provoked Mrs. Ashford, that your dog is aggressive and untrained, that you've been displaying increasingly erratic behavior at volunteer sessions." Mrs. Kowalski's expression was grim. "They're saying you need psychiatric evaluation." Harper felt the room tilt. This was it. The playbook. Discredit the victim, paint her as unstable, make everyone question her credibility before she could speak. "It's not true. None of it's true. I know that. But your social worker doesn't. Miss Chen called. Left 3 voicemails. Wants to meet tomorrow to discuss your placement." Mrs. Kowalski took Harper's hand. "Harper, what's really going on? And don't tell me nothing, because I've watched you for 6 months walk on eggshells around anything involving that foundation." The dam broke. Harper told her everything. Sarah's disappearance, the 12 other foster kids who'd vanished from the program, the files she'd been keeping, Riley's terror response to the senator, the training facility that got shut down, the Navy SEALs who believed her. Mrs. Kowalski listened without interrupting, her face growing more troubled with each revelation. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" she asked when Harper finished. "Because everyone loves the foundation. Everyone thinks the Ashfords are saints. I didn't think anyone would believe me." "I believe you." Mrs. Kowalski stood, her jaw set. "And tomorrow, when Ms. Chen comes, I'm going to make sure she hears every word of this." But Ms. Chen didn't come in the morning. At 7:43 a.m., Harper received an email. "Due to concerns about your mental health and behavior, an emergency placement review has been scheduled for Friday at 9 a.m. Attendance is mandatory. Failure to appear will result in immediate removal from current foster home and psychological evaluation at county facility." Friday was 2 days away. Harper forwarded the email to the address Ethan had given her, then got ready for school. Riley stayed close, his anxiety feeding off hers, both of them jumpy and hypervigilant. School was worse. By third period, everyone had seen the video, seen the foundation's statement, formed their opinions. Half the students thought Harper was a hero. The other half thought she was an attention-seeking liar. "My mom says you're making it up for sympathy," Brittany Morrison announced in the hallway between classes. "She says the Ashfords would never hurt anyone. They helped her cousin get into rehab." "My dad says that Navy guy was out of line," Connor Phillips added. "Says he had no right to interfere." Harper kept her head down, kept moving. Riley pressed against her leg. "Just get through the day.
Get to 4 o'clock. Get to people who believed her. At lunch, she sat alone in the library, pulled out her phone, and started organizing her evidence files. Photos of foundation documents she'd photographed when no one was looking, screenshots of text messages from other volunteers,
A spreadsheet tracking the 12 missing kids, their last known locations, the official explanations for their disappearances.
Her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Miss Chen? A man's voice, smooth and professional. This is Richard Sterling, attorney for the Youth Hope Foundation. I'd like to discuss yesterday's unfortunate incident. Harper's stomach clenched. I don't have anything to say to you. I think you do. See, we have multiple witnesses who say your dog attacked Mrs. Ashford unprovoked. We have documentation of your increasingly unstable behavior at the foundation, and we have very real concerns about your fitness to care for a service animal. Riley didn't attack anyone. She hit him first. That's not what the witnesses say. But here's what I'm offering. Withdraw your accusations, issue a public apology, and we'll drop our complaint to animal control about Riley's aggressive behavior. We'll even help you find appropriate psychiatric care.
And if I don't? Then we file a formal complaint. Riley gets seized pending investigation. You get placed in mandatory psychiatric evaluation. Your foster placement gets terminated due to your demonstrated instability. His voice dropped, became almost kind. Harper, we're trying to help you. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. I'm not apologizing for telling the truth. Then you're making a very poor choice. You have until tomorrow at 5 p.m. to reconsider. The call ended. Harper's hands trembled so badly she nearly dropped the phone. At 3:47 p.m., she walked into Riverside Brew with Riley at her side. Ethan and Maya were already there, sitting at a corner table. Agent Webb pulled out a recorder. Do I need permission to record this? She asked. You're 16, Webb said. In Virginia, you can consent to your own interview. But I need you to understand something first. If you're making this up, if this is some kind of revenge against the Foundation for discipline or rejection, now's the time to walk away. Once we start investigating, there's no taking it back. Harper met her eyes. I'm not making it up. Then let's begin. For the next 90 minutes, Harper talked. She walked them through her placement in the foundation program, the volunteer work, the first time she noticed kids disappearing from the roster. She showed them her spreadsheet, her photos, her documentation. This is Sarah Martinez. Harper pulled up a photo on her phone. She was my friend. She worked at the foundation for 2 years. She had Riley as her service dog. Last October, she told me she'd found something wrong with the foundation's financial records. 3 days later, she was gone. They said she ran away to California, but she left Riley behind. She left everything behind. Webb studied the photo. Did she tell you what she found? She said the money wasn't going where it was supposed to, that millions of dollars were being moved through shell accounts. She was going to report it. Maya leaned forward. And then she disappeared. 12 kids total, Harper continued, all between 15 and 18, all within 6 months of aging out of the foster system, all listed as runaways or voluntary departures. But none of them took their belongings. None of them contacted friends after leaving. It's like they just vanished. Webb's expression was unreadable. These are serious allegations. I know. Against very powerful people. I know that too. And you understand that powerful people fight back. Hard. Harper pulled out her phone, showed them the threatening texts, the email about the placement review, told them about the attorney's call. Ethan's jaw clenched. They're moving fast. Because they're scared, Maya said. Harper's got them cornered. Or they're confident, Webb countered.
confident they can discredit a teenage foster kid before anyone takes her seriously. She looked at Harper. How solid is this evidence? The photos are real. The spreadsheet is accurate. But I don't have access to the financial records Sarah found, and I don't know where any of the missing kids are. But Riley does, Maya said suddenly. Or, at least, Riley knows where Sarah was. Everyone looked at her. Service dogs are trained to return to safe locations when their handlers are in distress. It's called home training. If Riley was with Sarah when something happened, he'd try to get back to wherever that was. Webb frowned. That's speculative. It's behavioral science. And it's testable. Maya looked at Ethan. We could take Riley to the Foundation facilities. See how he reacts. That's a terrible idea, Webb said flatly. You'd be trespassing, contaminating potential evidence, and putting Harper at risk. Then get a warrant, Ethan shot back. Based on what? A teenager's suspicions and a dog's fear response? No judge will sign that. The table fell silent. Harper felt hope slipping away again, the familiar weight of being too young, too powerless, too easy to dismiss. Her phone buzzed, a text from a number she didn't recognize, but the message made her blood run cold. Jenny's gone, just like Sarah. Please help. Harper's vision blurred. Jenny Rodriguez. She's 14. She volunteers at the Foundation. Her voice cracked. She just texted me. She's missing. Webb grabbed the phone. When was this sent? 2 minutes ago. Can you call her back? Harper tried. It went straight to voicemail. She tried again. Nothing. Maya was already on her phone. I'm tracking the number. If her phone's on, we can... She stopped, her face draining of color. It's pinging from the old Riverside Industrial Park. The abandoned section. Where the training facility used to be, Ethan said quietly, before the senator shut it down. Webb stood. I'm calling this in. Harper, you stay here. Ethan, Maya, you're civilians. You cannot... We're going, Ethan interrupted. That facility is on public access land. We have every right to be there. You're interfering with a potential federal investigation. No, we're concerned citizens checking on a missing child. You can follow us if you want. Webb's expression hardened, but Harper saw the calculation happening. A missing 14-year-old versus proper procedure. The agent grabbed her jacket. Fine, but you follow my lead. Touch nothing. Photograph everything. And if this goes sideways, you were never there. They moved as a unit toward the door. Harper started to follow. Not you, Webb said. You stay here. You're a minor and the potential victim. You don't go anywhere near that facility. But Jenny texted me. She trusts me. Which is exactly why you're staying here, safe and alive. Webb's voice gentled slightly. Harper, if something's happening at that facility, if kids are being held there, or worse, the last thing we need is the Ashford's primary accuser walking into their hands. Mrs. Kowalski appeared in the coffee shop doorway, her face pale. I got your location, Cher. What's happening? Take Harper home, Webb instructed. Lock the doors. Don't let anyone in except me. I'll call when we know something. Harper watched them leave, Ethan and Maya and Webb, moving with purpose and urgency. Titan followed at Maya's heel, his body language pure focus. The door closed behind them. Riley whined, pressed against Harper's legs, his whole body trembling. I know, boy, Harper whispered. I know you want to find her too. Mrs. Kowalski put a hand on her shoulder. Come on, honey, let's get you home. But as they walked to the car, Harper's phone buzzed again. Another text from Jenny's number. Not words this time. A photo. A dark room, concrete walls, and in the corner, barely visible, the silhouette of someone small and terrified. Below the image, one word: help. Harper stared at the photo, her heart hammering against her ribs. Mrs. Kowalski leaned over her shoulder, gasped. "We need to send this to Agent Webb, right now." Harper's fingers were already moving, forwarding the image, typing frantically. "Jenny sent this. She's there. She's alive." The response came in seconds. "Received. En route to facility. Do not respond to any more messages from that number. Could be traced." "Get in the car," Mrs. Kowalski said, her voice tight. "Now." They drove in silence. Riley pressed against Harper in the back seat, his body vibrating with tension. Harper's phone stayed dark for exactly 7 minutes. Then it exploded with notifications. Ethan. At facility, multiple buildings, no sign of entry. Maya. Titan's alerting, he's got a scent. Webb. Calling for backup. This is now an active investigation. Then nothing. Silence that stretched and twisted until Harper wanted to scream. Mrs. Kowalski pulled into their driveway, killed the engine. "Inside, lock the doors. I'm calling Mr. Kowalski to come home from work." But before Harper could move, a black Mercedes pulled up behind them, blocking the driveway. Senator Ashford climbed out, his expression arranged in concerned benevolence. "Mrs. Kowalski, I'm so glad I caught you. I need to speak with Harper about a very serious matter." "She has nothing to say to you," Mrs. Kowalski's hand found Harper's. "And you're trespassing. Leave, or I'm calling the police." "Please, I understand yesterday was upsetting for everyone involved, but there's been a misunderstanding that's spiraling out of control." The senator approached, hands raised in a gesture of peace. "Harper, I know you're confused. I know foster care is difficult, but accusing my wife and me of terrible things, spreading dangerous rumors, it's not healthy behavior." Harper's throat closed. He was so calm, so reasonable, so perfectly calibrated to sound like the adult trying to help a troubled child. "I'm not confused." "I think you are. And I think you need help, real help, the kind of intensive therapy that the Foundation can provide." He pulled out a brochure from his jacket. "We have a residential program in West Virginia. Beautiful facility, top-notch counselors. You'd live there for 6 months, work through your trauma, learn coping mechanisms." "You mean lock me away where I can't talk to anyone?" The senator's smile never wavered. "I mean, give you the support you desperately need. Your social worker agrees. In fact, she's already begun the paperwork for emergency placement." Mrs. Kowalski stepped between them. "Over my dead body. Harper's not going anywhere." "With respect, Mrs. Kowalski, you're a temporary foster placement. You have no legal standing to refuse a clinical recommendation." The senator's voice stayed gentle, but something cold flickered in his eyes. "And given Harper's increasingly erratic behavior, continued placement in your home may not be appropriate. We wouldn't want you to lose your foster license over one troubled girl." The threat landed like a punch. Mrs. Kowalski had fostered for 30 years. Her license was everything. "You're threatening me?" Mrs. Kowalski's voice shook with rage. "In my own driveway?" "I'm offering solutions. Harper gets the help she needs. You maintain your sterling reputation. Everyone wins." The senator looked at Harper. "Unless you'd prefer to continue down this path, continue making wild accusations that will destroy your credibility and everyone who supports you." Harper's phone buzzed. A text from Ethan. "Found something. You need to see this. Don't let anyone know we contacted you." She kept her face carefully blank, her phone screen angled away from the senator. "I'm not going to any facility," Harper said quietly. And you can't make me. Actually, I can. Emergency psychiatric hold. 72 hours minimum. Enough time to evaluate your mental state and determine appropriate long-term placement. The senator glanced at his watch. The ambulance will be here in about 20 minutes. I'd suggest you pack a bag. You called an ambulance? Mrs. Kowalski's voice rose. For what? She's not a danger to herself or anyone else. She's making serious allegations against prominent citizens, displaying paranoid thinking, and according to multiple witnesses at the Foundation, she's been talking about conspiracy theories for months. The senator pulled out his phone, showed them a document. 3 licensed therapists have reviewed her behavior patterns and recommended immediate intervention. Harper's stomach turned. The document looked official, complete with signatures and clinical jargon. All lies wrapped in professional language. Those therapists never met me. They reviewed extensive documentation provided by Foundation staff who work with you regularly. That's standard protocol for emergency psychiatric evaluation. Riley growled, low and deep. The senator's attention snapped to the dog. And that animal needs to be secured before the paramedics arrive, for everyone's safety. Riley's not aggressive, Harper said, but her voice came out weak, terrified. He attacked my wife yesterday. Multiple witnesses. I'd hate for this situation to escalate further. The senator's smile sharpened. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to go inside, pack a bag, say goodbye to your dog, and cooperate with the medical professionals. Or we involve animal control, and Riley gets seized for evaluation. Your choice. Harper's world tilted. This was it. The trap closing. No matter what she did, she lost. Mrs. Kowalski grabbed Harper's hand. We're going inside, and we're calling our lawyer. By all means, but the psychiatric hold has already been authorized. Your lawyer can argue about it after Harper's in treatment. They walked toward the house, Harper's legs moving on autopilot. Riley pressed against her, whining. Inside, Mrs. Kowalski immediately locked the door, grabbed her phone. I'm calling Agent Webb. But before she could dial, the doorbell rang. Through the window, Harper saw 2 paramedics standing on the porch, an ambulance behind them in the street. The senator stood beside them, gesturing toward the house. They can't take me if I don't open the door, Harper whispered. They can if they have authorization. Mrs. Kowalski's face was gray. Harper, honey, I don't know how to stop this. Harper's phone rang. Webb. Don't say anything specific, the agent said immediately. Just answer yes or no. Is Ashford there? Yes. Are there paramedics? Yes. Do you feel safe? No. Can you stall for 15 minutes? Harper looked at the paramedics, at the senator, at Mrs. Kowalski's terrified face. I don't know. Try. We're coming. What we found at the facility, Harper, it's everything you said, and worse. Just hold on. The call ended. The doorbell rang again, more insistent. Mrs. Kowalski, please open the door. We're here to help Harper. The male paramedic's voice was kind, professional, completely unaware he was being used as a weapon. Harper made a decision. She ran to her room, grabbed her backpack, started shoving things inside. Not clothes. Evidence. Her laptop with all the files. The external hard drive with backups. Sarah's journal that she'd hidden under her mattress for 6 months. The flash drive with financial documents she'd photographed. Riley followed, his anxiety spiking, his body language screaming that something was wrong. I know, boy, Harper whispered. I know you're scared, but I need you to trust me. She pulled out her phone, opened the recording app, slipped it into her shirt pocket. If they were taking her, she was going to document every second. Downstairs, she heard the front door open, heard Mrs. Kowalski saying something about warrants and rights, heard the senator's smooth voice explaining about duty of care and medical necessity. Harper's window faced the backyard. 2 stories up, but there was a trellis. She'd never tried climbing it, but desperation made people brave. She opened the window, threw her backpack down to the grass below. Riley whined. "You first, boy. Jump." Riley looked at her, looked at the drop, looked back at her with those trusting brown eyes.
"Please, Riley. For Sarah. Jump." He jumped. Landed hard but safe, immediately looking back up at her. Harper grabbed the trellis, her arthritic joints screaming protest. 1 foot on the wood, testing her weight. It held. 2 feet, hand over hand. Don't look down, don't think about the pain, just move. She was halfway down when she heard the senator's voice from her bedroom window. "Harper, stop! You're going to hurt yourself." She moved faster, wood cracking under her hands. 3 feet from the ground, the trellis gave way. She fell, hit the grass hard, her shoulder taking the impact. Pain exploded through her arm, but she was down. She was free. Harper grabbed her backpack, clipped Riley's leash. They ran. Behind her, she heard shouting, the senator yelling for the paramedics, Mrs. Kowalski screaming her name. But Harper didn't stop. She ran through the backyard, through the neighbor's property, into the green belt that separated the subdivisions. Her phone buzzed. "Eaton. Where are you?" Harper typed one-handed, running, her shoulder throbbing. "Running. Ashford tried to have me committed. Where are you?" "Riverside Industrial Park, Building 7. Get here. We've got protection." Harper changed direction, heading toward the old industrial area. It was 2 miles. She'd never make it running, not with her arthritis, not with Riley struggling to keep pace. A car appeared beside her. Harper's heart stopped. But it was Mrs. Kowalski's station wagon, the older woman leaning out the window. "Get in, now!" Harper dove into the back seat with Riley. Mrs. Kowalski gunned the engine before the door even closed. "They're going to charge you with kidnapping," Harper gasped. "Let them try. I've been fostering longer than that senator's been in office. I know my rights. And I know child abuse when I see it." Mrs. Kowalski's hands were white-knuckled on the wheel. "Where am I going?" "Riverside Industrial Park, Building 7. They drove in tense silence, Mrs. Kowalski checking the rearview mirror every few seconds. No one followed. Yet. The industrial park looked abandoned, most buildings empty and tagged with graffiti. But Building 7 had fresh tire tracks in the dirt outside. Mrs. Kowalski parked beside a Navy pickup truck. Ethan met them at the entrance, his expression grim. "You okay?" "He tried to institutionalize me, called paramedics, had paperwork, everything." "Yeah, we found the orders, signed by a judge who's on the foundation's board of directors." Ethan looked at Mrs. Kowalski. "You just became an accessory to interfering with a psychiatric hold." "Good. Someone should interfere." Mrs. Kowalski's jaw was set. "What did you find?" "Everything." Maya appeared from inside the building, Titan at her side. "Harper, you were right about all of it. And it's so much worse than we thought." They walked inside. The building looked abandoned from outside, but the main floor had been converted into offices. Locked offices, which Webb and her team had forced open. "We found financial records," Webb said, not looking up from the laptop she was examining. "The foundation's been embezzling for years. Millions of dollars that were supposed to go to foster care programs, diverted to offshore accounts." "We found more than that." Maya's voice was tight. "There's a basement level. Harper, I need you to prepare yourself for what I'm about to tell you." Harper's throat closed. "Is Jenny?" "Jenny's alive. Scared, but alive.
We found her locked in a storage room with 2 other girls, 14 and 15 years old. Both were listed as runaways 6 months ago. Maya crouched down to Harper's eye level. They told us about the others, about what the Foundation does to kids who discover the embezzlement or threaten to talk. Where do they take them? There's a facility in West Virginia, the same residential treatment center the senator just tried to send you to. Webb finally looked up.
It's not a treatment center. It's a detention facility. They lock kids up there, cut off all communication, and keep them until they age out of the system. Then they release them with NDAs and enough money to disappear quietly. Harper felt sick.
How many?
At least 40 over the past 5 years. We're still counting.
And Sarah?
Maya and Ethan exchanged a look. Sarah's different. She's not at the facility.
Then where is she?
We don't know yet, but we found something that might tell us. Ethan pulled out an evidence bag containing a small notebook. Riley was going crazy in the basement, led Titan straight to an air vent. This was hidden inside. Harper recognized Sarah's handwriting immediately, her best friend's careful script, now shaky and desperate.
If you're reading this, I'm already gone. They know I found the accounts. They know I copied the files. Graham said I could take the money and leave, or I could disappear permanently. I said I'd leave. I lied.
I hid everything in Riley's vest, in the lining. The red vest, not the blue one. The proof is there, all of it. Find Riley, find the truth, tell someone who'll listen. And Harper, if you're the one reading this, I'm sorry I couldn't protect you too. Run. Harper's hands shook.
The red vest. Sarah had 2 vests for Riley. She always used the blue one for work. I never saw the red one.
Where is it now?
I don't know. When they gave me Riley, he only came with the blue vest.
Maya's expression hardened.
Which means the red vest is still somewhere with the evidence Sarah died trying to expose. Died?
The word felt like swallowing glass. Harper, Webb said gently. We found Sarah's name in the Foundation's private files, listed as deceased. Heart attack during a behavioral intervention session. Body cremated within 24 hours. No autopsy, no investigation. Her death certificate was signed by a doctor who's been dead for 3 years. The room tilted. Harper heard herself making a sound, part sob, part denial. Riley pressed against her legs, whining.
They killed her,
Harper whispered.
They murdered her and covered it up.
We believe so, and we believe the red vest with the evidence is still at the Foundation's main facility. Ethan's voice was careful. Harper, we need that vest. It's the smoking gun that ties everything together.
They'll be watching the facility now, after Jenny went missing, after the investigation started.
Actually, Webb said, they're not at the facility. They're hosting their annual gala tonight. 500 of the wealthiest donors in the state, all gathered to celebrate the Foundation's good work. Security will be minimal at the actual building. Harper looked at each of them.
You want to break in?
We want to execute a search warrant, Webb corrected. But we need probable cause for the warrant. And a red service dog vest hidden somewhere in that building isn't enough for a judge. Unless someone who has legal access to the building happens to find it and report it to authorities, Ethan said carefully. I'm banned from the facility. They terminated my volunteer access this morning. But I'm not, a new voice said from the doorway. Harper turned. A girl stood there, maybe 17, her eyes hard and familiar. I'm Christina Reyes. I was at that facility in West Virginia for 8 months. They just released me last week with a check for $50,000 and a contract saying I'd never tell anyone what happened. I signed it. I took the money.
And then I saw your video from the park, and I realized I'm done being quiet.
Webb stood. Ms. Reyes, anything you tell us could violate your NDA.
Sue me. I'll give the money back. I'll go to court. I don't care anymore.
Christina's voice shook, but held firm.
I know where they keep confiscated items. Personal belongings they take from kids during intake.
If Sarah's vest is anywhere, it's in that storage room. I can get in. I still have my volunteer badge. Absolutely not, Webb said. You're a civilian. This is an active federal investigation.
Then deputize me, or whatever you have to do, because I'm going either way.
Christina looked at Harper.
Sarah was my friend too. She was there the day they grabbed me, tried to fight them off. I owe her this.
Harper felt something shift, something that felt like pieces falling into place.
How many of us are there? How many kids did the foundation hurt? Hundreds, probably, Christina said. But how many are willing to fight back? That's the real question.
Her phone buzzed, a text from a number she didn't recognize.
Saw the video. I was in the facility too. I'll testify.
Another text, different number.
They kept me locked up for a year. I'll help however I can.
Then another, and another. 6 texts in 3 minutes, all from former Foundation kids, all ready to speak. Maya showed her phone screen to Ethan.
It's trending. #Ashford exposed. The park video's been shared 50,000 times. People are talking.
Webb's phone rang. She listened, her expression changing.
Understood. Yes, sir. We'll proceed.
She hung up.
That was the assistant director. Based on the evidence we've recovered today and the number of victims coming forward, we have authorization to execute warrants on all Foundation properties. Tonight, during the gala. They'll destroy evidence the moment they know you're coming, Harper said. Not if they're too busy defending themselves in front of 500 witnesses.
Webb's smile was sharp.
Harper, how would you like to attend a gala?
Harper stared at Agent Webb.
You want me to walk into a room full of people who want me institutionalized?
I want you to walk into a room full of people who are about to watch their heroes get arrested on live television. Webb pulled out a small device, no bigger than a button. You'll wear a wire. Everything the Ashfords say to you gets recorded and transmitted directly to our tactical team. The moment they threaten you, the moment they admit to anything, we move in.
And if they don't say anything incriminating? If they just have security throw me out?
Then Christina finds the vest while they're distracted with you, and we execute the warrant based on the evidence we already have. Ethan's voice was calm, but Harper saw the tension in his jaw. Either way, tonight ends with the truth coming out. Christina stepped forward.
I'll go in first. Volunteer badge still works for another week. I'll head straight to the storage room, find the vest, get out before anyone notices. And I'll be your backup, Maya said. Titan and I will stay in the vehicle outside. If anything goes wrong, we extract you both.
Mrs. Kowalski grabbed Harper's hand.
This is insane. She's 16. You can't send a child into a potentially dangerous situation.
I'm not sending her anywhere, Webb said carefully. I'm offering her a choice. Harper can walk away right now. We'll execute the warrant without her, protect her as a witness, and build the case the slow way. Or she can help us end this tonight. Harper thought about Sarah, locked in a basement writing a final message. Thought about Jenny and the 2 girls found in storage rooms. Thought about 40 kids trapped in a fake treatment facility. Thought about Christina, who'd survived 8 months of imprisonment and still had the courage to fight back.
What do I have to do?
Webb's expression softened with something like pride. Walk in. Accept their invitation to talk. Let them think they've won.
and keep them talking long enough for us to find what we need. 2 hours later, Harper stood outside the Riverside Grand Hotel wearing a dress Mrs. Kowalski had somehow procured, the wire taped to her ribs, her heart hammering so hard she thought everyone would hear it. Riley pressed against her leg, his service dog vest perfectly in place. The blue one, not red. Never the red one they'd stolen with Sarah's evidence. "You don't have to do this," Ethan said for the third time. He stood beside the van with Maya and Titan, all three positioned to move the moment Harper needed them. "Yes, I do." Harper's voice came out stronger than she felt. "For Sarah." She walked through the hotel entrance, Riley at her heel. The lobby was full of wealthy people in expensive clothes, holding champagne glasses, laughing about charity work and tax deductions. No one stopped her. No one questioned why a teenage girl in a borrowed dress and a service dog was walking toward the ballroom. The security guard at the ballroom entrance checked his list. "Name?" "Harper Chen. I'm a foundation volunteer. Senator Ashford personally invited me." The lie came easily, smooth as the wire pressed against her skin. The guard spoke into his radio, waited. Harper's pulse thundered in her ears. This was it. They'd either let her in or call the police, or worse. "Go ahead," the guard said finally. "Senator Ashford is expecting you." Harper's stomach dropped. He was expecting her, which meant this was a trap. She walked in anyway. The ballroom glittered with crystal and gold. 500 donors filled the space, all dressed in formal wear, all celebrating the Youth Hope Foundation's tireless work helping disadvantaged children. A banner hung across the stage. 20 years of hope, 20 years of change, 20 years of lies. Senator Ashford stood on the stage, microphone in hand, mid-speech. "And that's why tonight's fundraising goal is so crucial. Every dollar raised goes directly to our residential treatment program, giving troubled youth the intensive support they desperately need." He saw Harper. His smile widened, predatory. "In fact, one of those troubled youth is here tonight. Harper, would you join me on stage?" Every head in the ballroom turned. Harper felt 500 pairs of eyes assessing her, judging her, deciding if she was worth their pity or their contempt. "Harper?" The senator's voice carried false warmth. "Please, don't be shy. Come up here." In her ear, Webb's voice crackled. "Your choice. You can leave right now." Harper thought about running. Then she thought about Sarah's final words. "Tell someone who'll listen." She walked toward the stage, Riley beside her, and climbed the steps. The senator put his arm around her shoulders, pulling her close like a proud father. Harper's skin crawled. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is Harper Chen. She's been with our program for 6 months, struggling with some very serious behavioral issues. Isn't that right, Harper?" Harper looked out at the crowd, saw their faces, saw their expensive jewelry, saw their comfortable assumptions about troubled foster kids who needed saving. "That's not what I'm struggling with," Harper said into the microphone the senator still held. His grip on her shoulder tightened, a warning. Harper's been under tremendous stress. Yesterday, she had a very public breakdown in Riverside Park. Made some unfortunate accusations against my wife and me. They weren't accusations, they were facts. Nervous laughter rippled through the crowd. The senator's smile stayed fixed, but something dangerous flickered in his eyes. "You see what I mean? Classic signs of paranoid delusion. That's why we've arranged for Harper to receive treatment at our West Virginia facility, where she can get the help she clearly needs." "You mean the facility where you lock up kids who discover you're embezzling millions?" Harper's voice rang clear across the ballroom. "Where you keep them prisoner until they agree to sign NDAs. Where you threatened to send me this afternoon when I wouldn't stop asking questions about the 12 foster kids who disappeared from your program?" The ballroom went silent. The senator's face drained of color, then flushed red.
"Harper, that's enough. You're having an episode."
"I'm having a truth attack." Harper pulled away from him, faced the crowd directly. "Sarah Martinez was my friend. She worked for this foundation. She found evidence that Senator Ashford was stealing money meant for foster care, and 2 weeks later, she was dead. They said heart attack. She was 17 years old." Veronica Ashford appeared from the side of the stage, her expression furious. "You ungrateful little liar, after everything we've done for you. You hit me. You hit my dog, in front of witnesses. That's what you did for me." "I barely touched you. You're being dramatic." "Show them the video," Harper said. "Someone here recorded it. Show them what you did." Phones came out. Harper saw people pulling up social media, saw the video starting to play on multiple screens, saw faces changing as they watched Veronica's designer bag connect with Riley's head. The senator grabbed Harper's arm, his grip bruising. "You need to stop talking right now." "Or what? You'll have me committed? You'll make me disappear like the others?" Harper looked directly at him. "I know about the offshore accounts. I know about the fake treatment facility. I know you murdered Sarah to keep her quiet. I never touched that girl. She died of natural causes." "Then why did you have her cremated within 24 hours? Why no autopsy? Why was her death certificate signed by a doctor who's been dead for 3 years?" The senator's mask cracked. His hand on her arm tightened until Harper gasped with pain. Riley lunged, teeth bared, the first time Harper had ever seen him aggressive.
Security moved toward the stage, but they weren't Foundation security. They wore FBI windbreakers. "Senator Ashford, remove your hand from the minor," Agent Webb's voice carried across the ballroom. "Now!" The senator let go, but his expression turned calculating. "This is harassment. My lawyers will have your badge." "Your lawyers are welcome to try. Harper, step away from him, please." Harper moved to the edge of the stage. Riley pressed against her legs. The ballroom erupted in confused chatter. Then Christina's voice cut through the noise. She stood at the back of the ballroom, holding something red. "I found it. The vest. It was exactly where Sarah said it would be." Veronica lunged toward Christina, but Maya was faster. She intercepted with Titan, the Malinois, positioning himself between the threat and Christina with professional precision. "Don't move," Maya said quietly. "Titan's trained for takedowns. Please give him a reason." Christina walked to the stage, opened the vest. Inside the lining, exactly as Sarah had hidden it, were 3 flash drives and a stack of papers. Webb took them, examined them quickly. Financial records, offshore account numbers, transfer receipts, names and dates of every child who passed through the West Virginia facility. She looked at the senator. "Graham Ashford, you're under arrest for embezzlement, fraud, child endangerment, unlawful imprisonment, and conspiracy to commit murder." "You can't prove any of this," the senator said, but his voice had gone hollow. "Actually, we can." Webb nodded to her team. "We executed warrants on all Foundation properties 30 minutes ago. Found 47 children at the West Virginia facility, all being held against their will. Found financial records confirming $7 million in misappropriated funds. Found death certificates for 5 foster children, all suspicious, all covered up. I want my lawyer." "You'll get one. Veronica Ashford, you're also under arrest for assault, child abuse, and conspiracy." Veronica's face twisted with rage.
"We helped those kids. We saved them from worthless lives. They should be grateful." "Grateful?" Harper's voice cracked. "Sarah's dead! 47 kids were locked up, hundreds more were abused, and you want gratitude?" "They were nothing. Foster trash. No one cared about them. No one would have even noticed if they disappeared." Veronica's voice rose, her careful facade shattering. "We gave them purpose. We gave them value. And this is how they repay us?" The ballroom had gone silent, phones recording every word. "Ma'am," Webb said calmly, "you're confessing to multiple felonies on camera. I'd advise you to stop talking." But Veronica couldn't stop. 20 years of playing the benevolent philanthropist, and now it was all pouring out. "Those kids were mine. I chose them. I shaped them."
And if some of them couldn't handle the discipline, couldn't follow simple rules, that's not my fault. That's their weakness.
"You murdered my best friend," Harper said, her voice shaking. "Sarah wasn't weak. She was brave. Braver than you'll ever be."
Sarah was a thief. She stole confidential documents. She threatened to destroy everything we built. She left us no choice. The silence that followed was absolute. Even the senator looked stunned by his wife's admission. "Did you just confess to murder?" Webb asked carefully. Veronica seemed to realize what she'd said. Her face went white.
"I meant, she brought it on herself. We didn't actually—"
"Stop talking." The senator grabbed his wife's arm. "Don't say another word." But it was too late. The words were recorded, witnessed, undeniable. FBI agents moved in, cuffing both Ashfords. The crowd watched in shocked silence as Virginia's beloved senator and his philanthropist wife were led through the ballroom in handcuffs. Harper stood on the stage, shaking. Riley pressed against her legs. It was over. Actually over. Then something unexpected happened. One person started clapping. An older woman in an expensive gown, her eyes wet with tears. Then another joined, then another. Within seconds, half the ballroom was applauding. But the other half stood silent, their expressions ranging from shock to anger to betrayal. These were donors who'd given millions, board members who'd enabled the abuse, community leaders who'd looked away when questions were raised. Webb approached the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, this ballroom contains material witnesses to an ongoing federal investigation. No one leaves until you've been interviewed. We'll be examining all foundation donations and board decisions for the past 20 years. If you enabled this abuse, if you helped cover it up, if you chose to ignore warning signs, you will be held accountable." The applause died, the reality of complicity sinking in. Christina climbed onto the stage beside Harper. "I was locked up for 8 months. They told me no one cared. No one was looking for me. No one would believe me if I talked." Her voice grew stronger. "But Harper believed. The Navy believed. The FBI believed. And now, everyone knows the truth." Harper's phone exploded with notifications. Hundreds of messages from former Foundation kids, all sharing their stories, all ready to testify. The dam had broken, and the truth was flooding out faster than anyone could stop it. Jenny appeared at the edge of the stage, flanked by the 2 other girls found in the storage rooms. "We want to tell our stories too." Webb looked at them, these 4 teenage girls who'd survived hell and chosen to fight back. "Then let's make sure the world listens." The news cameras that had been filming the gala for promotional footage now captured everything. The arrests, the confessions, the victims speaking their truth. By morning, it would be everywhere. Harper looked down at Riley, saw him finally relax, saw the fear drain from his eyes. Sarah's dog. Sarah's evidence. Sarah's legacy.
"We did it, boy," she whispered. "We got them."
And somewhere, Harper believed, Sarah Martinez was finally resting in peace. The interrogations lasted until 3 in the morning. Harper sat in a federal building conference room, Riley at her feet, and told her story for the 4th time. Different agents, same questions, every detail examined and cross-referenced. "Walk me through the day Sarah disappeared again," Agent Webb said, her voice gentle but relentless. "Every conversation, every detail you remember." Harper's eyes burned with exhaustion. "She texted me that morning, said she'd found proof in the Foundation's server, said she was going to make copies and take them to the state attorney general." "What time was that text?" 8:47 a.m. I remember because I was late for first period. "And when did you realize she was gone?"
"That afternoon. She didn't show up for our study session. Didn't answer texts. Her foster mom called the Foundation, and they said Sarah had packed her things and left for California." Harper's voice cracked. "But Sarah's phone was off. Her social media went dark, and Riley showed up at my foster home 2 days later, with just the blue vest."
Webb made notes. "Did anyone from the Foundation ever explain why they gave you Riley?"
"They said Sarah had requested it before she left. Said she knew I needed a service dog and wanted me to have him."
Harper looked down at Riley, who was watching her with those understanding eyes.
"I believed them because I wanted to believe her friend cared about me that much. I didn't realize she was already dead."
The door opened. Christina entered with Maya, both looking exhausted.
"The other girls are done with their statements. Jenny's asking for Harper."
Webb nodded. "Take 15, but don't leave the building." Harper found Jenny in a small break room, wrapped in a blanket despite the building's heat. The 14-year-old looked smaller than Harper remembered, her eyes hollow.
"You saved my life,"
Jenny whispered.
"If you hadn't sent help."
"You saved your own life. You sent that text. You asked for help." Harper sat beside her.
"That took courage." "I was so scared. They said no one would come, said I was just another throwaway kid no one cared about."
Jenny's hands shook around her water bottle.
"Mrs. Ashford kept saying I should be grateful they were teaching me discipline."
"How long were you there?"
6 hours, but it felt like days."
Jenny looked at Harper.
"Is it true? About Sarah? About all of it?"
Harper nodded.
"Sarah found out what they were doing. She tried to expose them. They killed her for it. And you finished what she started."
"We all did. You, me, Christina, all the kids who came forward." Harper squeezed Jenny's hand. "They wanted us to stay quiet and afraid. We chose loud and brave instead." Ethan appeared in the doorway.
"Harper, your social worker is here. She wants to talk."
Harper's stomach clenched. Ms. Chen, who'd scheduled the emergency placement review, who'd authorized the psychiatric hold, who'd believed the Ashfords over her. The social worker sat in Webb's office, her face gray with guilt.
"Harper, I owe you an apology that I can never adequately give. You tried to have me institutionalized. I know. The Foundation. They had documentation, clinical evaluations, letters from therapists. It all looked legitimate."
Ms. Chen's voice broke.
"I've been a social worker for 19 years. I'm supposed to protect kids like you. And I almost delivered you directly to your abusers. Almost. But you didn't. Only because you ran. Because you were braver and smarter than the system meant to protect you. Ms. Chen pulled out a folder. I've spent the past 6 hours reviewing every case file for every child the Foundation touched. Harper, there were red flags everywhere. Kids who disappeared, complaints that were dismissed, warning signs I ignored because the Ashfords had such sterling reputations. How many? In Virginia alone, 63 children placed through their program over 20 years. We've located 47. The other 16... She stopped, couldn't finish. Harper felt sick. 16 kids still missing. 16 families still waiting for answers. We're going to find them, Webb said, entering the office. Every offshore account, every property the Ashfords own, every person who worked for the Foundation. We're tearing it all apart until we bring those kids home. Ms. Chen stood. Harper, the Kowalskis have requested emergency permanent guardianship. Given the circumstances, I'm recommending immediate approval. You'll never have to leave their home unless you choose to. Something in Harper's chest loosened. Permanent. Safe. Home. What about Riley? Riley stays with you. Full certification, no questions. Ms. Chen's expression softened. I'm also recommending that you be appointed as a consultant to the State Foster Care Review Board. Your age doesn't matter. Your experience does. We need voices like yours making sure this never happens again. 3 days later, Harper sat in a federal courtroom watching the Ashfords' bail hearing. The prosecutor was a woman in her 40s with sharp eyes and sharper words. Your Honor, the defendants pose an extreme flight risk. They have offshore accounts containing over $12 million, properties in 3 countries, and a private plane. More critically, they pose a danger to witnesses. We have credible threats against multiple minors who've agreed to testify. The Ashfords' defense attorney stood, his expression confident. Your Honor, my clients are pillars of this community. Senator Ashford has served this state for 15 years. Mrs. Ashford's charitable work has helped thousands of children. By imprisoning them, the prosecutor's voice cut sharp. By embezzling funds meant for their care. By murdering a 17-year-old girl who discovered the truth. Alleged murder. My clients maintain their innocence. Their innocence? The prosecutor pulled out a tablet, played audio. Veronica's voice filled the courtroom. Sarah was a thief. She threatened to destroy everything we built. She left us no choice. The defense attorney's face drained of color. That statement was taken out of context, made under duress. It was a confession made in front of 500 witnesses and recorded by multiple cameras. The prosecutor's voice stayed level. The defendants don't deserve bail. They deserve exactly what they gave those children. Confinement, with no hope of escape. The judge looked at the Ashfords over her glasses. Bail denied. Candidates will remain in federal custody until trial. Veronica screamed, lunging at the prosecutor's table. You have no idea who you're dealing with. My husband knows people, important people. You'll all pay for this. Security restrained her, led both Ashfords from the courtroom. As they passed Harper's seat, the senator leaned close. This isn't over, girl. We have friends in very high places. So do I, Harper said quietly. And mine actually care about justice. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Harper had learned to navigate them over the past 72 hours, learned which questions to answer and which to deflect. Harper, how does it feel to see the Ashfords denied bail? It feels like the beginning of justice, not the end. We still have 16 missing children to find. What do you say to people who claim you're too young to understand the complexities of this case? I say I'm old enough to recognize abuse when I experience it. I'm old enough to choose courage over fear. And I'm old enough to finish what my friend Sarah started. Harper's voice strengthened. Age doesn't determine worth. The Ashfords built an empire on that lie. Time to burn it down. The clip went viral within hours. By evening, Harper's phone had 200 messages from survivors, advocates, and lawyers offering help. One message stood out. "This is Detective Sarah Chen, NCIS. No relation to your social worker. I worked the case that shut down the service dog training facility 2 years ago. I think we need to talk." Harper called immediately. The detective answered on the first ring. "I've been reviewing old files," Detective Chen said without preamble. "That training facility didn't commit fraud. They were investigating the Youth Hope Foundation. The dogs they trained were going to foster kids in the foundation's program, and handlers started reporting concerning behavior patterns. Kids showing up with bruises, dogs displaying trauma responses, complaints that mysteriously disappeared. The senator shut down the investigation. He did more than that. He had the facility raided, records seized, and the director charged with embezzlement. Completely fabricated charges that took 2 years to dismiss. By then, the facility was bankrupted, the director's reputation destroyed, and the investigation buried. Harper's hands clenched. How many people did he destroy to keep this quiet? We're still counting. But Harper, that director, she's still alive, still fighting, and she wants to testify. 2 weeks later, Harper stood in a different kind of room. Not a courtroom or police station, but a community center packed with 200 people. Survivors, advocates, journalists, families still searching for missing children. Maya stood at the front with Titan. "We're calling this the Second Chance Coalition, veterans working with former foster youth to create the support systems that should have existed all along." Ethan took the microphone next. "We've secured funding for a residential program, not a detention facility. A real home where teens aging out of foster care can live while finishing school, learning job skills, and healing from trauma. Run by people who actually care. Overseen by survivors who know what red flags look like." Christina raised her hand from the audience. "Who decides which kids get in?" "You do," Maya said. "Every survivor in this room gets a voice in how this program runs. Because you're the experts. You lived it. You know what works and what doesn't." Harper watched the room transform. Watched foster kids who'd spent their lives being talked about, finally being talked to, being listened to, being valued. Mrs. Kowalski squeezed her shoulder. "Sarah would be proud. Sarah should be here." The grief still hit in waves. "She should be running this." "She was smarter than me, braver than me. She was your friend. And friends finish each other's fights." Mrs. Kowalski's voice was gentle. "You didn't replace her, Harper. You honored her." The meeting lasted 3 hours. By the end, they had volunteers, donations, and a waiting list of 50 kids desperate for a safe place to land. As people filtered out, a woman approached Harper. Late 30s, burned scars on her hands, eyes that had seen too much. "I'm Dr. Rebecca Torres. I ran the service dog training facility." Harper's breath caught. "The one the senator destroyed." "The same. I've spent 2 years rebuilding my reputation, my life, my ability to trust the system." Dr. Torres pulled out photos. "These are the dogs we trained. 12 of them went to foundation kids. All 12 dogs are still alive, scattered across various foster placements, and all 12 display the same trauma patterns as Riley." "You think they all witnessed abuse?" "I think they all tried to protect their handlers. And I think if we can find those dogs, bring them together with their original kids, we might unlock testimonies that have been buried for years." Dr. Torres's expression hardened. "Dogs don't lie. They can't be bribed or threatened. Their behavioral responses are evidence. Scientific, observable, undeniable evidence." Webb appeared beside them. Dr. Torres, would you be willing to testify about that in court?
I've been waiting 2 years for someone to ask.
The trial began 8 weeks after the arrests. Federal courthouse, 3 judges, media circus outside. Harper sat in the witness box on day 3, Riley at her feet, and told the truth for the final time. The defense attorney tried every tactic, questioned her memory, suggested she was confused, implied she was seeking attention. Isn't it true you have a history of behavioral issues?
No.
The Foundation has documentation. The Foundation has lies.
Harper's voice stayed steady. I have evidence. I have testimony from 47 survivors. I have financial records proving embezzlement. I have a confession recorded in front of 500 witnesses. What do you have besides character assassination?
The attorney's face flushed. Your Honor, the witness is being hostile.
The witness is being honest, the judge replied.
Continue, Miss Chen. Harper looked directly at the jury.
Sarah Martinez was my best friend. She was brilliant and kind and brave. The Ashfords murdered her because she refused to be silent. I'm here because I refuse to let her death be meaningless. I'm here because 16 children are still missing. I'm here because 47 survivors deserve justice. And I'm here because every foster kid in this country deserves to know that speaking up matters. That truth matters. That they matter. The courtroom was silent when she finished. The jury deliberated for 90 minutes. Guilty on all counts.
Senator Graham, Ashford, 45 years federal prison. Veronica Ashford, 40 years federal prison. 12 Foundation board members, various sentences ranging from 5 to 20 years. The civil settlements came next. $7 million recovered from offshore accounts distributed among survivors. The Foundation's assets seized and redirected to actual foster care programs. 6 months after the verdict, Harper stood in the Second Chance Coalition's new facility. 40 kids lived there now, all aging out of foster care, all getting the support they deserved. Jenny had her own room, her own therapist, her own future opening up. Christina was studying social work, planning to become an advocate. The director of the new facility? Dr. Rebecca Torres, with 12 service dogs in training. And in the facility's memorial garden, a plaque with Sarah's name. She spoke truth when silence was easier. She fought back when surrender seemed safer. She saved lives she never got to see change. Harper traced Sarah's name with her finger. Riley pressed against her legs. Ethan approached, Maya and Titan beside him. You ready?
For what?
Congressional hearing. They want you to testify about foster care reform. National stage. Millions watching. Harper thought about the girl she'd been 6 months ago. Invisible, afraid, convinced she didn't matter. I'm ready. Because courage wasn't something you found once and kept forever. Courage was choosing to speak up every single day, even when your voice shook, even when the powerful tried to silence you, even when the system seemed designed to fail you. Sarah had chosen courage and paid the ultimate price. Harper would honor that choice by making sure no other child ever had to. The Ashfords had believed foster kids were disposable, forgettable, powerless. They'd learned the truth the hard way. The most dangerous person in any room is someone with nothing left to lose and everything to fight for.